Welcome to Sports Talk Weekly, where we discuss the latest developments in the world of sports. Today we are joined by Enock, a sports journalist, and Mr. Olsen a friend of the podcast / many other things. Welcome, welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Viewers, it's very important that we apologize for last week. Last week we did not upload our episode, but that was because of minor glitches. However, this week we'll be recapping on events of the Premier League that took place after the resumption of the league. We'll be previewing the coming weekend. It was a very interesting weekend where teams like African Stars, who are the long leaders, had a great weekend in Ochibarango and in Rundu. Orlando Pirates in the coast, they collected 4 points on Saturday against Blue Waters. They drew on Sunday. They won against 11 Arrows. We'll also be speaking a little bit about what's happening in the world of hockey. The Indoor Hockey World Cup is starting in 15 days. Namibia will be featured. We will be having two teams representing us. That is the ladies team, who is in Pool A, and the men's team, who is in Pool B. So we'll also be touching on what's happening in the world of hockey. There is also development in netball. Netball Namibia, last week they announced very interesting developments pertaining to the promotion and relegation of their league. They mentioned that their position on relegation is that the last 4 teams in the past campaign will be playing playoffs against the 6 winning teams of the respective six regions, and those games will be this weekend. So, gentlemen, that and also the athletics Grand Prix in Swakop, we'll be talking about that. Enoko, your general take on latest developments in sports.
Thank you so much again, for having me, Shaun. I think to start with, just on a lighter note, I think let's start with cricket. I think
yes.
Not cricket, but hockey. Hockey, yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what the national team, both the men and the ladies. But I think I don't know why there's a certain way they command the support and the way they bring it to the people. I think more focus is given on the ladies. So I think it's still going to be like that. And I'm looking forward to the team. After we were supposed to be in the World Cup last year and COVID happened, we couldn't be there. And it will be interesting to see how Captain Fantastic, Maggie Mengo, will be able to command her fellow troops. And let's see what happens, man. I mean, it was very, very historic beating South Africa, qualifying, and now we're just 15 days away. So the build-up is really going, and let's see what happens. That's my take on indoor hockey.
You see, the unfortunate thing is, if it could have been football World Cup, and everybody would be talking. Yeah. And I don't love this Namibian attitude. I don't like it, the Namibian attitude of wanting to join the excitement ship only when the teams reach the semi-finals and the finals. I think it's high time that we make a hype about our participation in the World Cup. It's only rugby, cricket, now hockey that we see each time that we are in the World Cup, and we are not excited about it. I don't see a lot of people talking about it in social media. I do not see the excitement when it comes to the Sports Commission, the government at large, because in most aspects, when football, we reach those stages, sometimes buses will be released. But now, probably I will want to jump onto the ship only when we probably reach the semi-final or finals. This should not be the case.
Well, there was an interesting point made last week. We were sitting with Jeffrey Roman. You see, if we look at the women's pool B, they have Ukraine, Czech Republic, Kazakhstan, Belgium, and Canada. Kazakhstan, Belgium, Austria, and New Zealand are in Pool A with the men. He made an interesting point where he was saying, if you look at countries like Czech Republic, they are predominantly, inherently hockey playing countries because of the kind of country they come from.
Yes.
And he was saying it makes it very difficult for Namibia. How do you see our chances? And guys, he also raised, there was the junior hockey team went to do well in Argentina. In Argentina, was it in South America, so to speak? So what are just their chances in terms of performance? What do you guys see? How do you see us do? And they continue. They played few friendlies in Europe also recently. How are they doing? What do you gather about that?
Yeah, for me, I'll have to analyze it on the games that they've played, on how they qualified. That's maybe how I have to analyze it. But it's going to be a tricky one. So for me, if I'm to analyze it, I'll have to rely on the result against South Africa would beat them. I know we're rivals to an extent.
In many ways.
In many ways. Yeah. So I think I'll have to analyze it on that perspective. But I don't know. But let's just, as patriotic as I am, let's just hope. Maybe it's one of those moments where luck comes in their way. But the preparation, I think, is good. So I'm giving them a 50-50 chance.
I think the likes of Maggie, who has been at these events for a long time, I think, as you rightfully said, she will be able to command her team to perform well, because mostly in Namibia we know that the women's team is the best performing team.
Exactly.
But be that as it may, we are expecting the men's team also to be performing. But if a country is constantly improving, that is a sign that there can be surprise packages coming from Namibian side. But let's hope. We'll see from the first games as to how we are going to perform, and from there we'll be able to see a lot of young people probably be wanting to join hockey after they will be watching this game. And I wish that NBC come on board and also give us these games in order for us to be able to enjoy them in our living room.
Yeah, I think maybe also just to come in, I think maybe it speaks to what you were saying. I mean, people don't like to come to the party. They only come to the party when things are bigger and all of that. And it's unfair to the teams, because they qualify. Now we've been qualifying for, like, I think, cricket 2 times, rugby. We've second in Africa. It's not hard for us to qualify. Hockey now, and then what's another one? Athletics. We are there. We are now on there, and I think maybe you're right. NBC should come also in the picture, or maybe media houses should also make it easy for these people who we are giving excuses to. I don't know what the excuse is there, though, to not know about, or maybe not hype. I don't understand. I think maybe
it's maybe a thing of interest. We don't know, but with Enock, on the other front with netball. See, us guys, most football is the flagship sports in Namibia, and we do know about the relegation and promotion. The latest developments. What do you make of such a decision, especially at this stage where teams have gone through the league, those 6 respective champions have come, and they come across a decision where they are now told they must play off. This basically means if for example the lower division teams play their league, and then only before the new league starts you are told now you play against the relegated teams. Not something that was there prior. What do you make of that? How does that affect your motivation? You can lose this game in those 1, 2, 3, or in that weekend you can lose a season's work. How does this sit psychologically with the team?
I'm not really sure what Netball Namibia is trying to achieve with that. I think maybe we need to interrogate that. I think maybe we had I think Ms. Rebecca on this platform once. I think maybe she should be able to come and speak to that. I really don't understand how that process is going to work, just personally. I don't know, maybe legally.
Yeah, no, these are things that have hit football hard. We never had football for 4 years because of the promotion relegation aspect. And if I'm not mistaken, recently clubs were also pushing for an agenda to have a non-promotion, non-relegation league that is already in the middle of it. And now we are hearing it into
Netball.
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 These are the things that bring chaos into administration of sports, because sports itself is a
I'm thinking
is a
just because
competitive.
you continue, I'm thinking of a word, chaos. Apparently, chaos is a ladder.
so so sports in itself is a competitive thing, and when it's a competitive industry, you would expect one team to win it and one team to be relegated out of it. So, and you would see the lower leagues teams, especially in netball, wanting to come up. Why would I invest a whole season, spend my money, but I cannot go to the higher league? That does not make business sense. But I think there must be a justifiable reason as to why the netball has decided that indeed that's the route they are going to take. But I don't want us to see legal issues in respect of some teams wanting others to be relegated and things like that. So it's a very difficult aspect that netball finds themselves in. Let's hope that it does not bring chaos.
Indeed. Let's just hope so. last week when we said we everybody was looking forward to the resumption of the Premier League. I mean, it's a nice thing. The league started, but there was a marquee game, as they say in overseas. African Stars were going to play Life Fighters. The game was hyped up. People were divided as to where they fall.
Why are you pointing him?
Because it was Life Fighters, African Stars. But things happened. The game went on. African Stars went there, and then they went to beat Life Fighters.
They sweep the floor.
They sweep the floor. They went to Rundu. It looks like African Stars is running away. If we look at the log standings, Stars is on 25 points, although it's not that much. Life Fighters is on 18. Blue Waters is on 18. Those are the closest teams. And then there's Okahanja with 16. This weekend, as we can see, Orlando Pirates versus African Stars. Oh, Kairiri, are you going to lose for the first time this season or what?
I'm not speaking as an African Stars fan, of which I am. But anyway, as you rightfully said, the resumptions of the league has kicked off. What an exciting weekend it was. The hype that was created between the African Star and Life Fighters game. I wish most of the games will be, the hype will take that toll. The results, unfortunately, were not good for Life Fighters. If you go back to the social media currently, it also brought escalated the beef between the two clubs. So we'll see when they meet again, because that will be now extended to other engagement when they meet again. But that tells you that when you get serious with the administration of your club, you will be able to get the results that you need. That's why African Star could collect 6 points over the weekend. They went as far as Rundu and then collected another 3 points. So kudos to them, their administration, in trying to get the best players in the pool. You see, I've also been watching the likes of Tigers. They've also recruited new players. I've moved around a lot of teams. Teams are showing that this time around, after the resumptions of the league, teams will get serious. This is the juicy part of the league. And as you rightfully said, Orlando Pirates, African Star, unfortunately, it cannot be played in a backyard where the most supporters are. It's unfortunate for football itself that the capacity of the stadium where they are going to play, like Escavier, will not be able to attract a lot of spectators. But if it was at the same Nioma Stadium or Comastal Stadium, it would have been a talk of the town. But now the distance where the game will be played also plays an important role. And I don't know how the hype would be created, but the Life Fighters African Star hype, that's what I want to see in all the clubs.
While we are on that game and speaking about the coming big game, I just want to deliberately put in something. You see, soccer is a world sport.
Yeah.
So, Enoch, I just want to, you see, Juventus got deducted 15 points.
Yeah.
And this is because of their transfer business.
Yeah.
You know, this game of African Stars and Life Fighters, it had 2 talking points. It had a brilliant goal by Chulu Kamatuka. That boy hit that ball so much that everybody was talking about that. But there was another issue. And I deliberately said this, there was an issue, and there's this social media up and down, and this escalating the beef, as Kairiri is saying. There is apparently a player that African Stars is poaching from Life Fighters. He's a Life Fighters player. Some are saying the player was wearing African Stars. You know, this training gear. Now you see these kinds of things. I'm not saying that African Stars is in the wrong or what, but there's this talk on social media. So Kairiri also being a player agent, these things really do happen. Players are approached here door by teams. Teams are appealing. It's just like a girlfriend when she's very beautiful. So Kairiri.
No, that's the unfortunate part when you don't want to.
You are aware of that story?
Yes,
yeah,
I'm aware of
hold
that
on.
story.
But the thing is, I think when you're speaking of that, I'm getting shades of the story of young Africans and African Stars of that player, which pretty much, if you try and analyze the problems that started this whole thing, if you just go deep down, that could have been one of the source, really. It's just the elephant in the room, or the one of the reasons why football went on. Like, I'm just basically like my opinion.
Yes.
That could have been one of the reasons, or it contributed to it. African Stars and young Africans having that problem, and also now the other ones, the main one that came, and then football was on a standstill for quite some time. I think the framework and the legalities around the professionalization of football in this country is killing the progress, in my view. Because why is it so difficult, and why is it so hard, and just a problem in like just a straight up or set out paperwork or whatever it is that is set out for everybody to understand how the transfer works and people following it? It's because the clubs themselves, okay, you find this one is well organized, but then they want to buy a player from a club that is not well organized. So for me, it's a catch-22. It becomes a problem.
Yeah, but
so for example, let me give you an example. Kuka Tops. And then African Stars wants to buy a team from a player from Kuka Tops. They don't have the professionalization that the level of African Stars have.
Okay, but
you see,
it's a problem for me. I think those things need to be sorted out. Well.
You see, Mr.
That's
Enoch. One thing that we should understand is when you have a quasi-administration in football, quasi-administration in football, you would be able to have these issues in respect of players being poached from club A to B, not to be specific of what transpired between African Stars and Life Fighters. But what I'm telling you is, if you are asking for a league that is not professional, players who are not properly registered, you see, for you to claim that a player is yours and is for your team, you must have a proper contract. And a proper contract requires financial strength on it. And a value of a player's value is as good as the papers that he is governed on. Now, his performance is the most important aspect, but the paperwork plays a role. If Life Fighters have proper papers in respect of a player, why would they be crying? That's their player.
But what is the bone of contention?
But the issue is, the teams that are currently playing football have asked to register players as amateur. And if a player is registered as an amateur, he can go to any other club, because at the end of the day, the contract that he has with that club would end the moment there's nothing in writing. There's nothing in writing. An amateur player only registers on a player's card. A professional player signs a contract. Currently, you say Namibian football is not professional. So if you don't have a contract with a player, how would you say is your player? Did you give birth to him? Or what elements are you showing that this player is yours? Is it by training?
Meaning then you are vulnerable to that possibility.
Very much.
So what must happen now? Sorry.
There must be proper contracts for players. And clubs do not want to have proper contracts with players because there's a commitment to that contract. There's a salary that must be paid. There's all these things. And that's what will bring those fights in.
But I think, clubs should start small before you just continue. I think African Stars, what they're doing is good, and other small teams can learn from that. I mean, they're already on social media. This aspect that they added to their thing of, having a press conference every Thursday, I think every team should follow. I think they are actually leading the pack in professionalizing the game of football. These small things that count. I always preach about professionalizing, and we're just talking about this, about players having a problem. It's because there's no paperwork, and if maybe clubs can start with these small things, it will be better. I mean, we are already on social media, live fighters, even these other small, they are on social media. So they can start there and build up from there, I think, in my view.
So what I also, in conclusion, with regards to that, wanted to add was, whose responsibility is it to have that provision that this vulnerability is protected? Because we are not in a professional setup, we will never be able to impose on teams or to compel teams to do that. Whose responsibility is it? And then, before we continue with that, let's just also speak of, there's another game of Tigers and African Stars on Sunday. Tigers finds themselves in the relegation zone. The last 4 teams are Black Africa, Young Brazilian, Tigers, and Citizen. The points are very delicate. BA is on 7, Young Brazilian is on 7, Tigers is on 6, and Citizen is on 1. Black Africa is also playing Young Brazilians on Saturday. So, guys, that is now the relegation.
Black Africa playing?
Black Africa is playing
at home?
Yeah, here in Window.
Oh, okay.
Here in Window. So, in conclusion, just touch on those two aspects.
Okay, what's the first question?
Whose responsibility is it?
Oh, I think
to protect or to create provision to protect that vulnerability.
It has to be you will bite on this, obviously. It has to be the administrators. I mean, NFA, NPFL, all of these guys. They need to make provisions for these things so that it's available. And
in 1 minute and a half.
We've been talking about this.
Relegation? What do you think of Tigers' chances? They are second last, 6 points.
Yeah, they are playing.
They're playing African Stars Sunday.
Yo, they are in trouble. They're in trouble. I think Stars now, coming away with 6 points from Rundu. They lost a goalkeeper in the first half, red card, against 10 men. Rundu Sports Stadium against a Rundu team. And you come away with maximum points.
Yeah,
I think that's when I realized that, these guys, they mean business. And Tigers, I don't know, maybe we are still far to determine whether they will be relegated or not, but they better not lose. But from the look of things, they look like they are going to be sambaed by the Samba boys. They call it Samba boys, right?
Kahirona.
Shaun, let's be honest. African Star is in their own league. For other teams to get to the level where African Star is, I think they must go to Botswana, Zimbabwe, and get players there. Because the current best players that we have in Namibia are flocking to African Star. It's because African Star is offering better contracts than the other clubs. And I've been reading in social media, some people are crying. In football, you don't cry. What should be the order of the day is make funds available. When Manchester United is not performing, what is people saying? Open up the books, let's buy players, let's get serious and all these things. Because if someone wants to be organized, he gets all the players, he's able to convince them to join him, and you are not able to do that, then you are not serious with the game itself. We cannot just say you must have 2-3 good players because we feel sympathy for you and one. Yeah, people must get serious because this is the way you pay for May when the new season comes. So for the Tigers African Star game on Sunday, I don't expect it to be the African Star hype game that always been there because currently Tigers are not giving us the type of football that we are expecting from them. And they have new players, but they have not picked up. Because, you see, the thing with the other team is they have been building on. And you are collecting your players now. So your hype, because African Star can have two teams just on the field. So that's the challenge where we find ourselves in.
That situation you explain speaks to that provision I was talking about. How do you protect? Because now African Stars will have a monopoly.
In football, you can only protect. In football, you can only protect when the contracts are in place, when everything are properly written. And that's the professionalism of football that we always speak of. Because these small things will bring beef between people, between clubs, between players. Because at the end of the day, it feels some clubs will feel that they are betrayed and things like that.
So it's about getting your house in order.
No, just put the money on the table. That's the thing. Because Tigers can bring money to football. Why are they not bringing it? They have the support base of a lot of Namibians. But why are they not igniting these people to come and give the money to the team? That's where the problem is.
Are there any other fixtures that you guys want to talk about?
BA,
Young
Brazilians. Yeah, BA also started. I think the league, the way it started, was not well for them. I mean, you should expect them to perform. They're a big team. They're up there with.
No, they are not a big team. They are up for relegation.
No, they are a big team.
No, but they are a big team. I mean, they are your rivals even. They are your rivals. And they're your rivals.
But rivalry, when you are fighting for battle of relegation.
It doesn't matter. Soweto Derby, when 7 and 6 when they are playing, it doesn't
so
matter.
So you're saying BA stand a good chance against?
No, absolutely. I'm saying I'm disappointed. Okay, but then I give them the benefit of the doubt because the way the league started and the circumstances around it, but they have not been performing. I mean, how do you go to Rundu and at least collect a point and lose against Julinho? Not disrespect to a team like Julinho, but you can't do that. But I think it was a good result.
They must start fixing their management. That's where the problem is.
So I think, I mean, let's see what happens. This is an opportunity for them to start building up.
Or they must return the club to the guys who brought it here. That's all.
So when is African Stars BA playing? When we have a BA person here.
So in conclusion, your predictions for that match, Stars Pirates?
Yeah, Stars Pirates. I think I will give it a draw.
You give it a draw.
Yeah, this time around. This time around. I don't want to be beaten by my Orlando Pirates friends.
Okay, Stars Pirates.
Okay, I'm not. I don't have colors, but I think Stars are doing good. They might get maximum points. They are impressing.
In the interest of soccer, I say Pirates will win.
but one thing that you also did not allow us to get into is the Blue Water Life Fighters, 11 Orlos Life Fighters. Because we don't have the time. If you speak about Blue Water and Life Fighters,
that's another big game.
Who are now at the same points.
Exactly.
And Life Fighters even traveling to Walvis Bay. And currently with the performance of Blue, I think that will also be a game of the weekend that one can look at.
Not an easy place to travel to near the coast. Blue Waters and 11 Arrows.
On that note, thank you, gentlemen, for coming through.
Thanks for having
us. Enock,
always a pleasure.
Nice to have you.
Always a pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, from our part, that's a wrap. See you next week.